Welcome again to Precious African Tales. Have you ever heard about the princess who married a ghost? No? Today's story is all about that princess who married a ghost. In the heart of the African wilderness, amidst the sprawling landscapes and vibrant cultures, there existed a kingdom called Ngwa, ruled by a noble king and queen. Their daughter, Princess Adaeze, was a vision of grace and intellect, and admired by all who beheld her beauty. She was renowned for her unparalleled beauty within the kingdom. Suitors from distant lands flocked to their kingdom, each bringing gifts and dreams of winning her hand in marriage. First among the suitors was a Prince Quame from the sunlit isles. He was tall, dark, handsome with very shining eyes. He arrived bearing exotic fruits and precious gemstones, hoping to dazzle the princess with his riches. But despite his grand gestures, she politely declined his proposal, for she sought a love that was more than material wealth. Chief Oluezika was the second suitor from the Forest Kingdom. He presented her with rare herbs and intricate carvings, promising to cherish and protect her forever. Yet, Adaeze, though touched by his sincerity, knew that their paths were not meant to be. The warrior, Malik, of the desert tribes, came adorned in armor. He was a third suitor. He wielded his mighty sword, vowing to defend her honor until his last breath. But Adaeze, recognizing the burden of this duty, gently refused his advances, for she yearned for a love that liberated rather than confined. Then came Emeka, the farmer. He was the fourth suitor. He came with the harvest of his farm, lots of tubers of yam, corn, tomatoes, all assortments you could think of, promising to make sure she never lacks for anything, and promising to wait and get to know her. Adaeze was gracious but refused his proposal on the basis that he did not meet the ideal in her mind. Despite the allure of these suitors, Adaeze remained resolute in her quest for true love. None of these suitors could win her heart. Princess Adaeze was determined to choose her own destiny and refused each suitor, much to the dismay of her parents and the court. Little did she know her destiny would soon intertwine with that of a mysterious and handsome stranger. He was called Isen. Unlike all the other hopeful suitors, Isen was a mysterious figure who arrived dressed in splendor, unlike any of the others, and he was graceful. He walked in a way she had never seen, such gait, such pose, something that captivated Adaeze, along with his charisma and his charm. Despite her initial reservations, she found herself drawn to his elusive allure, ignoring the warning of the advisors and the whispers of the elders. Her parents were not pleased with the amount of time they spent together, but respected their daughter's wish to get to know the stranger. One day, Adaeze and Isen were walking through the market square, and it seemed all the villagers loved Isen. He charmed everyone he met with his dazzling smile and seemingly calm nature. This made Adaeze like him even more, and dare I say it, love him. After that walk, she called her parents, the king and the queen, and announced that she had finally made a decision. She intended to marry Isen. The king and queen, wishing to honor their daughter's choice, despite all advice, accepted her decision. The next day, Adaeze and her parents met the village seer to set the wedding date, and he cautioned against the wedding. This gave Adaeze a cause for pause, but she felt like she was being pulled into loving Isen and insisted she would go ahead with the wedding as her word was her bond. The village seer, on seeing her determination, stated that the wedding must occur on a day when the night would be a full moon, in order for Daisy to live a full life. What a weird choice of words by the village seer. But she was too elated to dwell on this for too long. This meant the wedding would take place in approximately a month. Daisy was ecstatic. In the lead up to the wedding, Ezena's family arrived at Ngwa Kingdom to take part in the celebration. Each one of them was as graceful as the next and almost unreal. They brought the best jewels, the best materials of clothing, the most bountiful bushels of food and produce for this wedding. All things were set for the big day. Daisy could barely contain her joy, and the same could be said of Ezena. On the wedding day, they danced and ate and took their vows to be together. Daisy was also looking forward to go and live with Ezena in his kingdom. He had mentioned it was more than a week's travel, but he assured her it would be a comfortable journey with all her needs catered for. A week after the wedding, they began to prepare to leave Ngwa Kingdom and head back to Undualago Kingdom, where Ezena came from. Turned out that according to Ezena's village custom, they were to travel back in 2 separate carriages, a very different custom to hers. After all, they were married and should spend as much time as possible together in their early part of their marriage. How are they to have kids if they didn't spend time together? But every time she raised her concern on this, Ezena flashed his charming smile and explained away her concerns. As the journey began, she was ensconced within her own carriage with some of her maids, and they spent a lot of time laughing, with Ezena visiting once in a while to spend time with her. By the second day, she noticed a change in the clothing worn by Ezena, more covered up, and he had developed a limp. And by the third day, he had his hands covered fully and barely lifted anything, unlike how he showed off his muscly frame back in her kingdom. Daisy was a little worried about this change. Maybe she didn't really know Ezena the way she thought she did. But wasn't marriage all about getting to know your husband? Her mom barely knew her dad before they got married. And look at them now. They loved each other and spent a lot of time making decisions together and laughing. Oh, how she missed them. One thing she did know was that Ezena made sure she was occupied and happy, not a moment to herself really in a day. One day, during this journey to Ezena's kingdom, Daisy took a walk during one of the stops to stretch her legs, and she came across a hurt little bird. Contrary to the suggestions of her maids, she insisted on tending to this injured little bird before letting it fly free. By the 6th day, Ezena had stopped visiting her completely, and when she insisted on seeing him, his courtiers prevented her, and he refused to see her. She was now very worried. They were one day away from his kingdom, Undualago. There was a buzz among the travel party. She gathered that they were excited to present the new bride to the kingdom. It has been a while since a member of their kingdom brought back a bride from another village and another kingdom, and a spectacular event was planned for her arrival. As they approached the main town within the kingdom, it was desolate and quiet. Daisy asked herself, "Ginibun here, what is this? How is this possible?" This was contrary to what she understood about the Undualago kingdom. But as it turned to dusk, she started seeing their forms, something that felt like Ezena approached her. It wore the outfits that she had seen on him, and as he got closer, she realized, guess what? He was a ghost. Every form she saw were that of ghosts. They were playing music, sounds that were scary, and Daisy was scared, petrified. Ezena explained to her, in his ghostly voice, that he had heard about her beauty and set off on a quest to marry her. He had to marry her. He traveled through 7 forests and 7 lands, borrowing body parts along the way, which he had to return on the way back. And this, as she saw him, was his true form. It turns out their marriage was not a done deal. Officially, in the dead of night, cloaked in shadows and whispers, and according to his customs, Adaeze had to formally accept Ezena's proposal and get married to the ghost, which involved being boiled alive. Alive! Which would kill her and make her a ghost also. When she heard this, Adaeze fainted, and the village cheered. She would make a great ghost bride. Adaeze discovered the true nature of her husband. The ghost of the night was not what he seemed. He was a malevolent spirit, bound to the earthly realm by dark magic. Trapped in his ghostly village, Adaeze found herself ensnared in a web of deceit and despair. This wedding was to take place in 14 days. What can she do? How can she escape? Now she wished she had heeded the warnings of her parents and the village seer. Desperate to escape the clutches of her spectral husband and the words of the seer resounding in her ears, Adaeze sought solace in the arms of nature. One moonlit night, as she gazed upon the stars, a little bird flew by and perched by her side, and she began to narrate her story and how she came to be in this predicament by not heeding the warnings of her elders, who knew more than her, and warned her to look past appearances and never to judge a book by its cover. But she had fallen for the mysterious and handsome stranger, who turned out not to be a living being. What was that saying? What an elder can see seated, a child cannot see, even if they climbed the highest Iroko tree. It seemed to be the case with Adaeze. It looked like the bird understood her predicament, cocked its head to the side, and flew away into the moonlight. And she sang, "Ununu, ununu ntakịrị, nụrụ akụkọ mụ, nụrụ akụkọ mwute mụ. Gịnị ka m ga-eme, ununu ntakịrị, biko buru ozi mụ. Obere nnụnụ zutere m onye enyemaka. Gịnị ka m ga-eme?" Chai! She sighed and prayed from the bottom of her heart for the courage to escape this kingdom. And after singing, she fell asleep in the moonlight. The ghosts made sure she was fed and well looked after, but she still prayed for a way out. And on the 7th night, as her eyes were closed, she felt an almighty breeze, and she slowly opened her eyes, and before her soared a giant eagle, the largest she had ever seen in her life. The eagle flew towards her and landed right in front of her and nodded. For some reason, she could interpret the sounds made by the eagle. Moved by Adaeze's plight, the eagle offered her a chance at freedom. Her good deeds towards the little bird and her story had touched the heart of the eagle, and it volunteered to come to her aid. The eagle directed her to climb aboard its majestic wings, and with a gentle nudge and a reassuring gaze, the eagle invited Adaeze to embark on a daring journey to reclaim her destiny. Without hesitation, Adaeze climbed upon the eagle's back, and her heart pounding with anticipation. With a mighty flap of its wings, the eagle soared into the night sky, carrying the princess away from this ghostly village and towards a new dawn. As they soared above the clouds, Adaeze felt a surge of hope and determination coursing through her veins. With each passing moment, she left behind the darkness of her past and embraced the boundless possibilities of the future. Eventually, after her trials and tribulations, Princess Adaeze returned to her kingdom, to the embrace of her parents and family, who were glad to see their daughter. Adaeze, her spirit renewed and her heart ablaze with newfound purpose. With the support of her people and the blessings of the gods, she vowed to use her newfound wisdom to guide others towards the right path. She eventually settled down with Emeka the farmer, who was local and well regarded. She decided she never wanted to be too far from home again. And so, the tale of Adaeze, the fearless maiden who dared to defy destiny and conquer the darkness to fly back on the wings of an eagle, echoed throughout the land, inspiring generations to come with her timeless courage and resilience. If you enjoyed this story and would like to hear more, please like, share, and subscribe.